Ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Saturday Night Sleepover. You are joining us for the News Goes Girl Talk with Elena.
And Zuri.
And Zuri. Welcome, Zuri.
I am going to hear how I sound now. Man, it has been quite a month, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. First and foremost, today is May 15th, and this is going out on May 17th. And we are recording from the Fayetteville Public Library. You can too, for the low price of a library card.
Yes, it is awesome in here. They've got a little fan because it is hot outside.
Yes, so if you hear the fan, we're sorry, not sorry, but it is too hot to not have it.
Yes, that is true. But this hot weather has got me thinking about summer.
Yeah. What are you doing this summer?
You know, I think we are getting a trip down to Florida. It'll be my first time going down to the Destin area, so I'm excited.
Trip to Florida, and to make it already hotter than it already is.
But at least I'll be by the beach.
Yes, the ocean is always a plus whenever it's hot outside. My summer plans, in July, I'm going to go to Utah. So Utah fam, hit me up. But my husband has a family reunion, and we also have some like family business to take care of.
Ooh, what's Utah weather look like?
Hot, but dry. So essentially, like you're in an oven.
Okay. So you'd like down in a valley?
Kinda? Yes. Okay. Well, so it's everywhere that I've lived in Utah has been at elevation in a valley. So it's not, it's a valley, but it's still like 3,000 to 10,000 feet in that range.
Okay.
Or 4,000 to 10,000 feet, I guess is better.
Now, do you guys plan to drive or fly out there?
Fly.
Okay. Have you seen all of the craziness that's going on with air traffic control?
For like the last, I guess we did a story about this already whenever they had the crash in
the helicopter.
Washington, D.C. But is this an update?
This is a bit of an update with air traffic control. Within the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, the radar and communication systems in the Philly area that direct, Newark? Is it Newark?
Newark is like New Jersey.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is it? Oh, dang it! I meant to Newark. Is it? I just don't know how to. Newark Airport? Yeah.
That's in New Jersey.
Okay. Yes, that is the New Jersey. Okay, sorry. So they have gone down for something like 90 seconds, and what this causes is just like a complete black screen where people can't see what's going on.
Oh, no.
They cannot talk to people. So it has happened just for a short time.
Especially because there's like planes coming in that can't communicate with each other. That's like key.
Yes. And this happened on April 28th and May 9th. They have been saying, well, we need a new system. The lines are old copper wires, and they failed for a third time on last Sunday, but that time the backup system worked, so it didn't go all the way down. That was the 11th of May that happened. So, it's just something to keep an eye out for. I had a friend who was actually flying out from New Jersey to, I want to say he was flying down to Florida, and he was like, yeah, it was like he was scared because he knew about this. And I feel like this is something that's kind of gone down in the radar unless you're in that airport. People's planes were completely delayed, and there was a chaotic scene in the airport, which is nothing new, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, whenever we're going down to Florida, I think we mitake be driving, just because I'm a little scared.
I might update my plans because we actually might have to drive anyway, because we might have to take care of some like moving stuff. So we're not moving away from Northwest Arkansas, but the family business that we have to take care of might be moving stuff from Utah to Northwest Arkansas. So
ooh, you got someone coming in.
Yeah, maybe so.
Okay. So we'll see if you want to drive or not.
Yeah, maybe we'll drive. Maybe so.
But the Trump administration is looking to upgrade these systems, according to AP News, and everything that I've read right now is all from the AP. So hopefully that we start seeing these changes in in airports and what we need to make changes for the FFA. The FAA wants they get made. But this last month, I think the biggest news is like America. We've had the eagle screeching in the background all year for 2025 because we've got the craziness of Trump's presidency, which makes headlines worldwide.
And we have like covered that almost every time.
Yes. And now we've got the Catholics behind us,
which is more global.
Yes. So we've got a new American Pope. And, you know, people were saying that we can probably thank JD Vance, who people online, specifically trollers, have been naming the Antichrist.
Oh, boy.
Because after he went to go visit Pope Francis, he unfortunately died. Pope Francis has been battling like pneumonia and just a lot of respiratory and illnesses in general. And
do we know how long Pope Francis? I'm not educated on Pope Francis at all. How long has he been the Pope?
Pope Francis was the Pope for, we will do a quick. I know it's probably
Zuri,
been.
Can you bring that up?
Papacy? How? Papacy? Prophecy is what popped up when I. So there, if you haven't heard of the prophecy of Pope Francis, is that there was someone who could tell who was going to be Pope for the next like 200 years or something, and supposedly
is it the blind lady?
No, it was another Pope who did all of this.
Okay,
they did this 200 years ago. And they said it ended with Pope Francis.
Okay.
So they said, like, after Pope Francis, it's the end of the world.
Okay.
That is something, if that is a crazy conspiracy, do not believe everything you read online. But I did love that conspiracy. It was like, so let's see here. I unfortunately cannot see because all I'm getting is the prophecy on Google. So thanks, Google.
How long was Pope Francis Pope? There we go. Pope Francis papacy lasted for 12 years.
Okay.
He was elected on March 13th, 2013, and his pontificate ended on April 21st, 2025.
So yes, rest in peace, Pope Francis. He really changed the outlook that Catholics had on gay marriage within the church. And, I am a cradle Catholic, and for the first time ever, I remember seeing gay men with their children at church. And even though they're still kind of strict about things, like I don't think they're allowed to receive the body of Christ, which is just communion.
Is that communion? Yeah.
But it was like a great change, like seeing them open that door. They also kind of opened the door for divorcees. They're very much against divorced couples,
bringing us
and stuff,
into marriage in 2025.
Yeah.
Painting a picture for that. Good job.
So
Pope Francis, yay! Thank you.
So he, rest in peace. And that was a big thing with the new Pope. They were like, oh, are we going to get like a more liberal Pope, quote unquote, or more conservative Pope? So, sometimes the things that popes get elected for, it's just monumental to how Christianity and Catholics view and treat others, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or fortunately. So, yes, so J.D. Vance, aka the Antichrist, not only did he cause Pope Francis to die, but he also fumbled the national championship trophy while trying to lift it at the White House.
Oh, no.
And broke it.
Poor J.D. Vance.
And so, yeah.
He's getting, like, heckled by the trollers.
Yes. And, I just think it fits J.D.'s Vance persona very well. Like, I can see that. Like, I feel like I know him. Like, he's this clumsy man.
He is the I feel like the way I see JD Vance as the quintessential millennial.
Literally.
You put him in charge of something and you end up saying you had one job.
Yeah. But people were just like, oh, not him passing away 4 hours after he meets JD Vance.
Yeah, right.
But thankfully the conclave happened, which was a great movie.
Yes.
But it's also a real thing.
That is the word for when the new pope takes over.
While they go into the election process for electing the new pope.
Yeah, and
So
the thing I know about that is that there's everything I know about that came from Eurovision.
yeah. You're like
So I know that there's white smoke involved.
yes. Well, this time it was red, white, and blue, baby.
Hey, because he's an American pope.
Yes.
It's the first ever American pope, correct?
Yes, it is the first ever American pope. Italians kind of took over and ruled for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, their main country is in Italy, or I don't know. Is that the right way to say
Yes.
that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Rome is in Italy.
Well, because the Vatican is in
Yes,
Italy, and it's
yes.
technically its own country. I know that because of Jeopardy. Thank you. What is the guy's name? The Jeopardy guy's name?
I do not know. I suck at
Oh,
remembering
man.
people's names, unfortunately.
I watched. I'm a avid Jeopardy watcher, and I am kicking myself right now. But
I
anyway,
know his face.
yes,
Guy with the
it'll
Jeopardy
come
face.
to me. It'll come to me, and I'll shout it out, and you guys will know.
But he is from Chicago.
Yes.
So, you know, Chicago for 2016 was monumental because of Chief Keef.
Okay.
Do you know who Chief Keef is?
Isn't he a hip hop music?
Yes, he's a rapper.
Person? Yeah.
And he has a song called Love Sosa,
Okay.
which is very popular.
Yeah.
And he really kind of put Chicago rap
back
on the map.
My vision of Chicago rap is Chance the Rapper.
Yes, Chance and Kanye. You know, there's a bunch of Chicago rappers, but he created this new scene where people were learning more about the Chicago gangs, like O Block and the Chicago area and stuff. So there's been many memes made for the Pope being an O Block Pope.
Oh boy.
And also just how the Vatican will change now to the American capitalism and have a Portillo's out there and a Buc-ee's and a Wally's and probably a Walmart.
Well, everything that I have seen online about the new Pope has been like Americans like talking about how we have an American Pope and like how like culturally talking about how like their mom dated the Pope in high school or whatever. Yeah. The like, viral videos of stuff like that.
Or just, like his brother. His brother
or
is
his brothers.
gold.
Yeah.
His brother's like, my little brother, you know, he FaceTimed him. Have you seen that video?
Yeah.
Where he's like, hey, I just want to say we're on FaceTime. He's like, why didn't you pick up? The Pope saying that.
Yeah. How American.
Yes. So, you know, it's this interesting I think this is the perfect time to have an American Pope.
Well, especially because if Pope Francis was bringing out more culturally relevant, bringing the papacy into a more culturally relevant space,
yes,
and then to enter an American to just wreck that up.
You're like I said, the bald eagle is screeching worldwide.
Yeah,
that's
hear the call.
Yes. Oh, Zuri said no. Zuri said no, no to the bald eagle.
No, maybe she is the eagle screeching.
She's practicing her eagle screech.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Phoebe. Welcome.
But something that came out too from the death of Pope Francis was during the funeral, a moment was had with President Zelensky and President Trump, where they were able to have some one-on-one talks. So this is just a war update. Although today there was supposed to be some peace talks between Ukraine and Russia, May 15th, but Trump said he will not be there. You know, that's an interesting way to kind of move forward because Trump has said things to Zelensky and said things about Russia and has kind of been on this seesaw, which...
Yeah, the things I know about it is what I've seen on social media about how Trump said, why aren't you wearing a suit?
Yeah, that was the last talk where we kind of, some people say we could be like, you know, a laughing face to the world, or, you know, or some people think that's a strong thing for him to just kind of stand up against Zelensky, whether or not you agree with this war. There is a war going on. You know, there's been effects to Chernobyl, you know, missiles and people dying in people's lives. But yes, it's been going on now for 3 years? And Zelensky said he will put on a suit once the war is over. And we talked about that.
Yeah, I think we did. I think
probably
we
2
did
months
it.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, that's kind of like an update from that is it looks like the United States could be more on a seesaw and not just staying on the Russian side.
Mhm.
And it
Because one of the things we brought up before we started recording was you said that Trump has pledged to help rebuild Ukraine.
Yes. Yes. So after that talk, they whoever is in charge of the ooh, I need to start saving these things whenever I see them to put them in for like, okay,
Like,
this is what we're going to
yeah,
talk
to
about.
put in the notes.
Yeah. The person who's in front of our I'm trying to think who it was. Dang it. Sorry.
I'm gonna Google the Jeopardy host. Well, I know Ken Jennings because that's the season I'm watching right now, but the former one.
And anyone who's listening, let us know what you think about the papacy.
Papacy? Yes.
And also just so on May 1st, it was the first of its kind historic partnership as read by the whitehouse.gov fact sheet under President Trump and US Ukraine. They have entered a historic agreement where we will help reconstruct and be there for the long-term economic success of Ukraine. And so this is a long-term return for both countries where this partnership will help fund 50%. The partnership between the U.S. and Ukraine will establish a fund that will receive 50% of the royalties. So we will get money. We'll get a lot of money. 50% is
that is
depending.
As a Shark Tank watcher, that's a lot.
Yeah. Deal or no deal.
Also, Alex Trebek was the name that I was
Alex
trying to remember.
Trebek.
Yeah. Why didn't I remember his name? I'm so sorry, Alex Trebek. R.I.P.
Oh my God! Did he really die?
Yeah, he died of pancreatic cancer. I don't know what year he died, but they long enough for them to name.
See, I thought you were thinking of the new. I thought you were thinking of the new host. That's my bad.
It's the Alex Trebek stage that they play on now. He's Canadian, and he died in 2020.
Oh,
he's been he was like a staple of my childhood. Like, yes. Jeopardy is
when you're sick.
Yep.
You get stuck at home having to watch Jeopardy.
Except for I was homeschooled, so I was home all the time. All right.
So yes, that is the and I will put that in our notes. There is a fact sheet that the White House made about this this new first of its kind partnership, which will be very interesting. I think it kind of goes into how the United States is trying to spread to get more resources in different countries.
Mm-hmm. And it feels very corporate and capitalistic, which makes sense for having a businessman as a president.
Yes. But yeah, so we'll probably have some news next month on if Pope Leo makes any announcements about the United States in general. Maybe we could do something on some Pope.
Since you grew up a Catholic person, can you tell me like the cultural part of like how the popes like get a different name when they become pope?
They get to pick it. So like there's different, so like starting I think maybe in the 8th century, the popes started to kind of like pray for guidance from from previous popes, and so then they get to pick like a pope that they relate to and want their guidance moving forward. So like Pope Leo was the one before was, or the original one was like originally someone who very much cared for migrants and immigration issues.
Okay.
And like so that's why people were like, some of the things he's already chosen are already speaking to what he's probably going to be doing during his time. And he also is a Peruvian citizen. He has double citizenship in the United States. In Peru, because that's where he was a priest at.
Doesn't he speak like several languages?
Yes.
That's the other thing I saw on the internet.
Yeah, like 5 languages. Most higher up priests do, or people who really take their stuff. If you go to any of the Catholic Church out here, churches out here, they typically have there's a lot of Indian priests, and there's also a lot of African
Interesting.
priests. So yeah, they've got like 3 or 4 languages already in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
that's one of the things. Like I don't know. I've had African friends before, and I feel like there's so much more. They have so much more language
yeah.
than like
And in
my
India
American friends.
too. There's like
Hmm.
20 plus languages in
Hmm.
India alone, you
Yeah,
know? So, and, you know, America just officially has made English their our language.
we
The
did that.
United States. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. That was one of the kind of beginning executive orders. And maybe in this next episode, we'll kind of dive into what that means. We'll see. Because we translate a lot of things
Hmm.
in the United States, but if there's no funding and if we have an official language,
Hmm.
that might change.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, because I grew up like with the ideology of like we don't have a
Mm-hmm.
official language on purpose because like
We're a mixing pot.
we're a mixing pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a melting pot.
Interesting. Very
Yes.
interesting. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yes, yes. So I'll put that in the show notes too. That was an executive order that was signed, and yeah, you know, there's been a lot of news. As someone who keeps up with the news, that we've kind of just changed this episode to just make it focus on these little ones. But there
Hmm.
is a lot of bigger things that I think we could dive into this next month.
Yeah,
I like
let's do it.
I like these things, and then you did a lot of
Yes.
this.
So I we can transition to the things that I did the homework on, which was then we wanted to talk about national parks because recently also Trump has announced that he's going to roll out some federal funding cuts that will impact national parks. And I got fired up about this one because I have background that has been really my international parks have been really a part of my life. So,
Growing up in Utah, right?
well, I didn't grow up in
Oh,
Utah. I
sorry.
grew up in Virginia,
Virginia. Okay.
but I spent a huge chunk of my adult life in Utah. So, their biggest tourism drive, I would say, would be like they have 5 national parks because it's really beautiful there. But the article that I read for research was USA Today, and they had a really good resource on statistics of how much money that is being cut, and as well as a list of national parks and nationally funded sites. So I wrote this little part. I have a massive personal connection to the federally funded public spaces. I grew up in a national and state park family, and as a homeschooler, the junior rangers is one of the resources that is like vital to homeschooling. I grew up learning about nature in nature, and I also spent a huge chunk of my adult life living smack dab in the middle between 2 of the most popular national parks in Utah. And I watched with my own eyes Instagram and COVID like blow up the national park scene. These parks are already dealing with infrastructure issues, and many of the popular hikes need permanent permits these days, which are funding park improvements, but is already not enough. So losing this funding will impact the parks that are already struggling to keep up with the infrastructure. So, like for example, when I moved to Utah, it was 2012. So like Instagram wasn't necessarily as popular as it is today, and geotagging specifically of like beautiful pictures has increased exponentially the national park visit rates because people are like, that's a beautiful thing and I want to go see it, and that's a lovely thing that's happening. But the problem is that these hikes and these like roads to get to these things were already set up for the amount of people that were visiting them pre-internet.
Yeah.
Like, and the budgets of the federally funded places are on a fiscal year that they only get funded every once, or like you get to put everything you need in a budget like once a year, and then you have to budget for the rest of the year that way. And so the popularity of these parks is not is set up for a much slower process than the internet blowing it up. So like for example, I went there in 2012, and you could go on this hike and you could just go there freely and see it beautifully. And then everybody started tagging, and then everybody wanted to go. And now you have to apply for a permit, which you have to like get into a lottery in order to get to any of these hikes. And so not only that, but people, once they get into the lottery, and like the amount of people is just like, there's not enough bathrooms, like people are pooping in the wilderness, and like these poor rangers have to clean up after them. And
now we've just lost like what 10% of Park Service staff.
Yes.
And I think something interesting that has happened with all of these cuts, like this was published May 4th, but like here in Arkansas, there was a story based out of Little Rock area of this park ranger who lost her job because she was a probationary.
Yeah, that word is right.
Okay. Worker. And she actually ended up getting her job back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something important, is like if we stay silent on things that are not making a noise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the lives that don't matter,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote, then those, they won't be changed. But if we make a noise on like, hey, we do need these people, we do need this funding, actually we need more funding in these areas, then those changes will be made.
Yeah.
By cutting a bunch of like, okay, is this frivolous spending in these areas,
Mm-hmm.
to saying like, no, this isn't. But I think it also is interesting, if like how much the United States has changed.
Yeah.
Whenever it comes to, if you want funding for these type of things, then you're kind of like a socialist country.
Mm-hmm.
Or a little bit of communism. You gotta pay the government these taxes to keep up with
it's considered like liberal to want a park, but it's also considered conservative to want to be in nature. So it's like in this weird,
and that's why we shouldn't label things.
Yeah.
But also it shows that people don't know what those labels mean,
Mm-hmm.
because we do have a little bit of, we need to fund things as a community if we care for those people, if we care about those things. And
Mm-hmm.
also I think it's easy to get lost in your own world,
Mm-hmm.
and forget that how many lives you go by and how many lives are impacted by really small things.
Yeah.
Like just looking at numbers of 2,000 employees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what does 2,000 people even look like, and how many lives do 2,000 people have? Because they might have a spouse, they might have kids, they might have a dog, they might have grandparents that they care for. Like what does that look like, and how does that look like? And it's just always like a reminder of like, you don't know what someone's going through, to be nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To be nice, because we're going through some hard times.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like in a capitalistic mindset, like a national park, you should be able to, like, if you love the national park, you should be able to donate to it. But
Mm-hmm.
most people in this economy don't have money to donate to a national park. So that's where the fact that it is called a national park, it should have federal funding.
Yeah.
Our government should be able to support something like that in times of trouble, or give them avenues to be able to support it. Like, for example, you talked about the TikToks. And
Yes.
but federally funded things aren't supposed to be on TikTok, but like that is a way that you could fund it. Like it's just it's so much mixed messaging, and for such a finite resource that, like, well, I guess it's not a finite resource because it's always going to be there, but the amount of people that can experience it is so finite because of the infrastructure that is set up there.
Yeah, it's like we've dug ourselves into this hole where not everyone agreed with giving money to things that maybe other people agree with, and now we're left with a lack of good infrastructure. So now there's more money that has to be dumped into multiple things like air traffic control, and national parks, and just a bunch of things, because where do we get to pick
which
this
brings
money?
us to our economy check-in.
Yes.
Which we have just labeled blame it on the tariffs, which was the label of my last
episode. Go listen to it. If you're here, go to that last one too. If you haven't listened to it.
But it feels like it's hard to afford things in America today.
And today, actually, Walmart just said they will be raising the prices of things because of tariffs.
Wow.
And I'm pretty good at knowing how much I'm spending whenever I go to the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
And now I order everything. I have Walmart Plus.
Mm-hmm.
No plug. They do not sponsor. Um,
But it is a very convenient resource for living in Northwest Arkansas.
yes. And as a mom of two little ones, three. I've got three kids, but two little ones. And well, I'm at least spending close to 50. I was spending close to $50 each time. Now I'm spending close to $100.
Yeah.
It has nearly doubled.
Well, those videos that like you see people, they just redo their Walmart order
Mhm.
and it's like triple the price.
Yes.
Like it was $200 and now it's $400.
And, avocados are officially $1.
Yeah.
They used to be 87 cents.
Yeah.
They are officially $1. Formula has gone up about $2 to $3.
Mm-hmm.
And formula is already pretty pricey, so you're at least spending $30 to $60 on formula, depending on what you get, the sizes. Diapers are about $25, and these I think are like essential needs.
Yeah. What I foresee it pushing people towards more like farmers markets, because the farmers markets their prices are going to be pretty stable, but now like regular Walmarts and supermarkets, they're
Yes.
going to inflate their prices to
Mhm.
be what the like farmers markets and homegrown stuff is.
And
So
you know
at this
what?
point you might as well not use prepackaged goods.
Exactly. And it's interesting that you say that. I have started shopping at the farmers market
Exactly.
this starting this month because it's beautiful out. The
Mhm.
farmers market is outside now. I've gone every Saturday, and I could go during the week, and got all my produce from there. And it makes it easier for me to incorporate some veggies into our
Exactly.
meals. Like I've got some cauliflower.
And you know where it's coming from.
Yes.
So I think all of this is just going to
And
backfire.
that dollar is going back to the hands of people who are
a person.
Yes. And so, and also like steak is just incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
But at the farmer's market, I mean, it's the same price as
Do
getting
you want
it
to buy
fresh.
half a cow with me?
We'll talk after this.
Yeah, let's buy half a cow together.
No, seriously. That's
But I'm saying, that's what I'm saying is
Yes.
Americans, it's going to backfire on them. Like it's
Well-
going to backfire on capitalism, because like now we're just going to go give our money to a actual person instead of a
I do
faceless
not
corporation.
see this as a backfire. As someone, this is something that I told Jasper, was I was like, listen, I have always been anti buying things overseas
Mhm.
if we can make it here,
Mhm.
because that dollar circulates at least 7 times.
Yeah.
And it goes to that person, it goes into that city, it goes to that state. That's already 3 times right there,
Mhm.
and then their employees, and like, so all of that. So it's like, okay, that's why I never feel bad. And whenever I was at the farmers market last time, they were like, we've had so much more cash.
Yeah.
Because I was like, hey, can you break 100? And they were like, actually, yeah, I can. Because
Wow.
people are spending cash. They're not going ding, 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 ding.
Mhm.
And, I think credits and all of that. So blame it on the tariffs that we are supporting one another.
Exactly.
This is a good thing.
Yeah.
And it might seem expensive, but like I said, whenever it's going back to everyone else in that economy, it'll start to flourish.
Yeah, and it's going to balance out to like what you would pay at a big box store anyway.
Yeah. So I always tell people, I hate whenever people kind of use the excuse of like, I can't afford that. That's not financially responsible. Whenever it comes to things that are like literally life, I'm like, hey, don't worry. Like, it's a circle. This is a circle. It's not like it ends. It's not like you spend money and then it's just getting on fire. Unless you're gambling. Even if you make triple or whatever, that's fired. But yeah, like whenever you're doing things like that, it'll come back. It'll come back. So even though there's some scary times and expensive times coming, I think we will be okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's see.
Well, I guess since we are somewhat talking about extravagant spending,
yeah,
it segues us into the Met Gala, which is
Ooh.
our fun ending
Yes.
topic that we want to talk about. And so I did the research on this one, and I read an article from Time Magazine titled Everything You Need to Know About the 2025 Met Gala. And I learned that what the Met Gala is, because I feel like the internet has blown it up as a fashion show. But what it actually is the actual purpose of the event is to raise money for the Metropolitan Museum of Art, hence Met Gala. The event raises money specifically for the Costume Institute of the museum.
Yeah.
So the theme this year was super fine, tailoring Black style. And this is the first time since 2003 that the theme has been focused on menswear. So what is that saying about the culture in 2025? Masculine energy much?
Yeah. And it also had like kind of like dandyism. So like, you know, getting to play between that, I guess, how would you pretty man, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it was really fun to see everyone's outfits.
Yeah.
Did you get to see some pictures?
Yes, I did. And I did some digging on like the most like people that were labeled the most best dressed. But one more fact is that in 2003, whenever it was menswear before, it was men in skirts, and the theme is chosen by the curator of the Costume Institute too.
Awesome.
So in addition, there was also to the theme, there was also a dress code, and the dress code, this theme was tailored to you. And Demi Moore interpreted this theme as wearing a dress that was representative of a tie that took over 7,600 hours to make.
Holy crap.
So if you do the math on that, that's 316 days. So almost a year of 24-hour days. And she's been lauded as one of the most best dressed at the attendees of the event.
I have not seen hers until right now.
Yeah. So her dress looks like a tie.
Yes.
And there's a photo of it in the article that I linked there.
Wow, that is beautiful. You know, I only saw like Sabrina Carpenter's and man, I remember Sabrina Carpenter's, but I'd never seen.
Yeah, well, the one video that I saw of Sabrina Carpenter's was that her tailor said something about her pants being wrong or something, so she
like
just
her
didn't
body,
wear them.
Yeah, because her body, like she's too short.
Yeah.
So he recommended not to have pants or something because they make her look shorter.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So she just didn't wear pants. And I'm like, that is the energy I want to take into 2025. Yes, Sabrina Carpenter.
Also, something that came out of the Met Gala, Rihanna is pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
Again.
Rihanna like chooses like the most public places to announce her pregnancy. The last one was the Super Bowl.
Which was like crazy because everybody's like, you can't just assume she's pregnant. She just had a baby, and then she's like, no, I'm pregnant.
Yeah, good for Rihanna. Like, you slay at pregnancy amounts.
But Rihanna, I want a new album.
Yes. Doesn't she make a new album for every...
No, she has not made an album since Anti.
Oh. Yes, we do want a new album. And I do love Rihanna. Like her anthem, like every time the Rihanna song that gets me the most pumped up is Cheers to the Weekend. Do you know that one?
Cheers to the Weekend?
Yeah.
No.
Well, everything it's on the sleepover playlist, and every time it comes on, I like crank it up.
And I love that because it goes hand in hand with the Saturday night sleepover.
I know, right?
Well, let's see. This was an eventful month, and we've got June coming up.
Yes.
No? Yeah. Are we?
Well,
yeah, we've got. Yeah,
June. We're halfway to June and through May at this point. And next week is we're gonna have Pod Circle. It's this podcast always lands on the third week, and then the fourth week is Pod Circle. So next week, hope to see you at the Fayetteville Public Library at 6 p.m. If you're interested in starting a podcast or you're a content creator, we want to come and talk to you about that kind of stuff. Are you coming this time?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I can make it this time.
Yay.
Yes.
We love it.
So, and Zuri and all the girls.
Yes.
I'll have all the girls with me.
They're allowed. Everyone is allowed. Everyone's invited. And we just talk about like love hate mail to Riverside and whatever else.
Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. And we hope to see you again next time.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.